So, you don't think this is an obvious case of false memories, Mr. Mandela detective?
May I tell you what I think happened? Alrighty then. You said you're certain that the Fruit of the Loom logo had a cornucopia?
That's true.
You're certain it wasn't just a lonely pile of fruit?
Yeah, I'm certain.
What's the point, Eugene?
If you had watched all my previous videos, you'd know. Real Mandela effects like that one, while highly meaningful in their own right, also appear or are mentioned in large numbers in certain movies being used by the power behind the Mandela effect to communicate a message to us. That's how we know such movies are special, and one of the main recurring themes these Mandela message movies contain is that we are all artificial intelligence living in a programmed simulation controlled by a super advanced higher intelligence, which was already the best explanation of how the Mandela effect is achieved in the first place. Yes! Yes! Ugh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh?
Welcome back to look at yet another Mandela message movie. In The Karate Kid Part 2, Mr. Miyagi is returning to Okinawa, where he was born. His father is very ill, so he must go see him. This trip won't be without its complications, though. Some loose ends are waiting for Mr. Miyagi there, and he explains the situation to Daniel-san. When Mr. Miyagi was young, he fell in love with a woman. This was a problem because the woman Mr. Miyagi fell in love with was about to enter into an arranged marriage with his best friend, Sato. Mr. Miyagi went against tradition, proclaimed his love for her, and married her. That old dog! It was an affront to Sato's honor, so Sato challenged Mr. Miyagi to a fight. The next day, Mr. Miyagi left Okinawa for good and hasn't been back. Daniel-san questions how he could do this if it was a case of true love, and Mr. Miyagi tells him, "Miyagi no believe in fighting." Daniel replies, "Yeah, I know that, but you guys were in love. Come on." Mr. Miyagi then tells him, "Never put passion before principle. Even if win, you lose." Remember, this is a message movie, and these morals are for us. This one addresses all kinds of bad choices people make, doesn't it? A moral we see in other message movies is stick together, and this is exactly what Daniel-san has in mind when he shows up at the airport with his luggage. He is going to join Mr. Miyagi in going to Okinawa, even though he is spending some of his college savings to do so. Mr. Miyagi objects, but Daniel-san had the perfect reply. "Mr. Miyagi, you're more important than college. You're more important than anything to me. I mean, you know, when I need you, you're always there for me." As soon as they get off the plane in Okinawa, Sato's nephew is waiting for them. Sato still wants to fight Mr. Miyagi, and he is relentless about it. When Daniel-san asks Mr. Miyagi what he is going to do about it, he replies, "Nothing." I actually consider this an important moral. I am learning more and more with time to just stay the course and say no to anxiety when I'm faced with a significant problem and an uncertain future. And the future is often uncertain. When Mr. Miyagi tries to find his village, the American military presence is unmistakable. It is portrayed as noisy, disruptive, and obtrusive. From what I have read, the real-life nature of this situation is even worse. In a movie that is telling us not to fight, I think the U.S. military may be a metaphor for armed conflict and how undesirable it is. Mr. Miyagi finds his village, and Daniel-san discovers the Miyagi family dojo. When Daniel-san asks him what the writing on the wall says, Mr. Miyagi translates for him. "This rules to karate. Rule number 1, karate for defense only. Rule number 2, first learn rule number 1. The next piece of sage advice Mr. Miyagi dispenses is, never stop war by taking part in one. This is balanced by the fact that when someone is hurting their loved ones, both Daniel-san and Mr. Miyagi choose to fight. Sato owns the whole village where he and Mr. Miyagi grew up, so he gives an ultimatum: fight or watch the whole village get bulldozed. If Sato loses, he must give ownership of the village to its residents. When Daniel-san questions this agreement, Mr. Miyagi tells him, "Miyagi already win. No matter what happen, village safe forever." The fight is to take place the next day, but a huge storm hits the village. The The little house Sato is in collapses. Mr. Miyagi finds him pinned under wood columns. Sato thinks Mr. Miyagi is going to kill him while he is defenseless, but Mr. Miyagi frees him and says, "Easy, Sato, easy. I got you, old friend." Sato's grudge is no match for the beauty of Mr. Miyagi's kindness. His thinking finally begins to change. The next day, instead of fighting Mr. Miyagi, Sato apologizes. Later, he states it clearly. I was wrong. Hate is wrong. As everything seems to be falling into place, Daniel-san has his own witticism to share. See, if you put your mind to it, anything can happen.